Like it in 26 years, man. It was quite crazy.
And most importantly, a year of hope.
We know there is much goodness and light in this community, and it outshines the darkness.
Join us as we look back on 2023, a year in reflection.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Seth Wells.
And I'm Taylor Gattoni. Thank you for joining us for our News 10 Year in Reflection.
In 2023, we told the stories that impacted your lives. And tonight, we look back at those stories.
We'll talk about the good and bad. We start in East Lansing. It's the story we never thought we would report here in mid-Michigan, a mass shooting at Michigan State University.
Tonight, Ann Emmerich takes a look back at that fateful day and how it changed the campus community forever.
911, what's the location of your emergency?
Berkeley Hall, Michigan State University. There's a shooting.
Room 114. Room 114? Yes. Okay, how many people have been shot? I don't know.
A terrifying night on campus. At 8:18 on the evening of Monday, February 13th, a gunman walked into Berkey Hall and fired into a classroom of unsuspecting students. He then walked to the student union where he fired again. 8 students were shot that night. 5 were critically wounded. 3 died. The campus was locked down for hours.
There's like maybe 250 plus people in this entire dining hall. They've had us here the entire time, no one in, no one out.
Students sheltering in place while police worked to track down this man. People across the country listened for hours to the police scanner.
Yeah, all I have so far is that there's a shooter in the hallway, multiple people shot in dorm room or in classroom 114.
Amy Barajas answered one of the first 911 calls from Berkey Hall, triggering the massive police response. For the next few hours, it was her voice directing officers on campus in a race to get help for the victims and catch the shooter.
Towards the Union Building westbound, do we have a description?
For these officers out there, they don't know what they're going out to. They don't know what's out there. They didn't know where the gunman was. My voice was a lifeline for them.
Meantime, students inside Berkey Hall scrambled to help the injured.
I had ripped off my shirt and applied it to his wound as a form of bandage to stop the bleeding.
3 hours later, police found the gunman in North Lansing. When they approached, 43-year-old Anthony Dwayne McCrae shot himself.
This truly has been a nightmare that we are living tonight.
The campus community mourned the loss of students Ariel Anderson, Brian Frazier, and Alexandria Werner, and prayed for the recovery of 5 others. The team of doctors at Sparrow Hospital taking care of the victims, emotional.
We see it on the news reports, but when it comes into your facility, it's very different. It becomes very real.
It's probably one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever seen in 25 years of practice in this community.
Classes and athletic events at the university were canceled for 48 hours. Hundreds gathered for a vigil to start the healing.
There will never be a return to normal. This event has changed what that will feel like for us forever. But that's okay.
We know there is much goodness and light in this community, and it outshines the darkness. And we know that we are Spartan strong.
As our presence here tonight demonstrates, there is comfort and hope in the community of the bereaved, for we are not alone.
Counseling services were offered for anyone trying to process their grief. The Sparty statue and the rock serving as places for reflection. People opened their wallets to give to the Spartan Strong Fund, which was set up to help victims with expenses and the university community heal.
There are people that never give in or give up. I think Spartan Strong, I say that now with a little more pride.
In the months that followed, there were town hall meetings, March for Our Lives rallies, calls for new gun laws and better safety measures on campus. Lawmakers and the university responded. Just 2 months after the shooting, the governor signed new gun laws. In June, the university installed new cameras, door locks, and created a new security operations center.
The improvements that are being made right now are a direct result of us going to those town halls, listening to students, listening to faculty, and hearing what they would like to see on campus.
I think it's a bit performative, but I think that MSU as an institution really can't do much to prevent mass shootings. I think that it's a bigger societal issue.
A nationwide epidemic hitting home. young lives lost, and others changed forever.
There's not a day that I don't think about it or think I could have done more.
Early this month, the university announced it has settled lawsuits with the families of 3 students killed in the shooting. The families of Brian Fraser, Alexandria Verner, and Ariel Anderson will each get $5 million.
In October, an independent review of MSU's response to the mass shooting found the initial response by MSU police and other agencies was efficient and effective. Michigan's new gun laws take effect February 13th of next year, the 1-year anniversary of that shooting. As the year 2023 comes to an end, we also want to take a look back at some of our biggest local stories. From Lansing to Jackson to Grand Ledge, every community faced their challenges. News 10's Deanna Giles takes a look at our top 5 local stories.
The Grand Ledge community raised concern about a beloved landmark of the city. In April, someone spotted a break in one of the ledges, the 40-foot tall sandstone cliffs in Fitzgerald Park.
The concern is if they keep breaking apart, or if people damage them in a way by carving on them or climbing in places that they shouldn't. We do have places we allow climbing where we don't. That those things hurry up the natural process of erosion, and eventually, the ledges could potentially be gone.
The historic LC Dam is coming to its end.
I'm 68. I've lived here my whole life, and it's like, I've played down here as a kid. I fished down here as an adult. My dad and I fished down here.
Duplain Township officials voted unanimously to remove the dam due to safety concerns and to improve fishing and environmental issues.
I've been without water. I've been without hot water for like up to a week. Molds, the ceiling caving in the laundry room. And then obviously no heat, and then right now it's really hot. We have no AC because of the furnace, and they refuse to do anything. I've reached out to management, corporate, everything.
In 2023, Lansing officials worked on addressing a rise in red-tagged homes. About 700 properties were deemed unsafe to live in, forcing people to find new places to live, and city officials looking for solutions for new affordable housing options. A large industrial building in Jackson was destroyed in a massive fire back in August.
It's too bad the building had burned, because back in the day there was a lot of business. They made a lot of money and people bought from them, parts all over Jackson. So it's kind of sad that it did burn.
The former factory was vacant at the time. The fire and smoke caused Jackson to issue an emergency alert urging people who live nearby to close their windows and turn off their air conditioning.
This is convenience. This is the one place they can go and say, I need to do this. Well, don't go to this window, go to the next window. You don't have to leave the building. You don't have to chase your tail getting all around the city trying to figure out how to do city business.
The downtown Lansing skyline is about to change as we head into the new year. A new city hall and public safety facility will be built after voters approved funding for the project. A new high-rise near downtown, new performing arts centers, and new hotels in the works. Lansing Mayor Andy Shore hopes these developments will bring people back downtown. For News 10, I'm Deanna Giles.
In 2024, we will continue to bring you all of your local Mid-Michigan news.
And as we wrap up 2023, we realize there are some words that we've said a lot on the news. Record, unprecedented, first.
This was a year where we repeatedly saw things which had never happened before, as you'll see when you take a look at the past 12 months, as Emily Schmidt has.
Perhaps the most 2023 way to try to sum up this year is not to try at all and let AI do it for you. After all, Collins Dictionary named AI its word of the year for driving the conversation about the power and potential perils of artificial intelligence, as Senator Richard Blumenthal proved when he used an AI-generated deepfake of his own voice.
Too often, we have seen what happens when technology outpaces regulation.
Deadly wildfires in Maui arrived so quickly in August. As the emergency siren warning system stayed silent, people plunged into the ocean seeking safety.
You gotta go!
At least 110 died. Thousands lost their homes in Hawaii's largest ever natural disaster. In the Middle East, on October 7th, Hamas put what it said was a plan 2 years in the making into action, killing more than 1,200 people in Israel in just the attack's first hours. Taking at least 200 hostages, some eventually released, others left in limbo. Israel attacked Hamas in Gaza in return, killing thousands more in an unfolding political and humanitarian crisis. Back in the U.S., mass shooters took lives in the most ordinary places. In Lewiston, Maine, the year's deadliest mass shooting, 18 people died simply eating or bowling. Hunter Biden became the first child of a sitting president charged by the Justice Department. His lawyer has suggested the charges are politically motivated. Former President Trump racked up historic court superlatives all year. The first time a current or former president has faced criminal charges. The first time a former president was charged with crimes in federal court. The first former president with a mugshot. Trump stayed on the campaign trail, and President Biden went to Georgia to honor former First Lady Rosalynn Carter, who died at age 96 after a lifetime of service. It's 2023, a year too unbelievable for AI, too unforgettable for real. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
Those were the stories away from home that captured our attention and the world's attention.
We'll continue to bring you those stories as they happen in the new year.
Still to come, this state of Michigan's politics and how the state tackled an uptick in crime in 2023.
Plus, Ann Emmerich sat down with Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. That interview after the break. Crime in our communities.
From mass shootings to school swatting attempts, local law enforcement say cracking down on crime remains a top priority as we head into the new year. News 10's Tanaya Jordan takes a look back at the year in crime.
My number one priority as the Ingham County prosecutor is to reach out to law enforcement, community leaders, the community and as a whole, to reduce the gun violence in Ingham County, particularly Lansing.
A new Ingham County prosecutor with new policies. John DeWayne took office in January, replacing Carol Seaman. DeWayne says he's prioritizing cracking down on gun violence, violent crime, and repeat offenders.
I'm going to take a hardline stance with people that have guns illegally in their vehicles and who do not have a concealed pistol license.
In my head was, this is the real deal.
Scary moments for schools across the state.
We heard nothing, we saw nothing, eerily quiet.
Swatting calls threatening schools nationwide with acts of gun violence. Okemos Public Schools became a target in February, resulting in a rapid police response.
They had cleared the high school, and apparently there was no active shooter that they had found, which I've never been so scared in my entire life.
Police following up on several leads from the public in hopes of finding 2-year-old Winter Smith. In July, 26-year-old Rashad Trice allegedly sexually assaulted and stabbed his former girlfriend and kidnapped her daughter Winter. After leading police on a chase near Detroit, Trice was arrested.
If anybody has any knowledge of Winter's whereabouts or has control of Winter, that they need to know that they will be prosecuted to the fullest if they're involved in this in any way.
Winter's body was found 3 days later. Now, Trice is facing federal charges in Winter's kidnapping and strangulation. A late-night party turned violent as gunfire at the Logan Square Shopping Center in Lansing became the latest mass shooting. 7 people were wounded at the Energy Event Center, with multiple gunshot victims ranging in age from 16 to 26. An East Lansing synagogue targeted with acts of violence by 19-year-old Sean Patilla. He took a plea deal in federal court and was scheduled for sentencing on March 4th.
No one should have to live in fear that they are a target because of their race, their ethnicity, their religion, or any other protected status.
The Lansing Police Department said they've investigated 14 homicides in the capital city during 2023.
In politics, after Michigan Democrats took control over both chambers of the state legislature for the first time in 40 years, politics in Michigan made a big shift in 2023.
News 10's Jordan Burrell takes a look at the changes at Michigan's capital and the nation's capital as we head toward a new year.
A change of power and new faces taking leadership roles at the state capitol in 2023. State Representative Joe Tate was elected the first person of color as Speaker of the House, and Senator Winnie Brinks became the first woman to ever become the Senate Majority Leader. Democrats now in control of the governor's office, the Senate, and the House. And one of the first things on the to-do list, repeal right to work.
Somebody new coming in, they don't see what we've been able to accomplish. So for us, it's very important to try and bring in new blood. And we want them to be part of the process.
And soon after, Governor Gretchen Whitmer signed legislation to repeal the 1931 law banning abortion.
The government has no business getting in the way of conversations between women and their doctor.
Whitmer committed to safe access to abortions for Michigan residents and safe access to our state capitol, with new metal detectors added to ensure everyone's safety.
This building's been wide open forever, but it's the time, it's a sign of the times we're in. We have to protect people.
The new hands-free driving law went into effect. It stopped people from being able to use their phones while operating a vehicle, even if it's parked.
If you're operating a vehicle in Michigan, even if you're stopped at a stoplight or stop sign, you're still considered operating, and that cell phone just simply can't be in your hand.
And with the stroke of a pen, a revision of the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Law was signed by Governor Whitmer, expanding protections for the LGBTQ community, prohibiting discrimination at schools, work, and in housing. Threats against Michigan politicians were the focus of court cases. 3 men involved in a plot to kidnap the governor back in 2020 appeared in court and were acquitted of their charges of involvement. A Michigan man was arrested and charged with anti-Semitic threats against Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel and other Jewish leaders.
So not lost on me that as I sit here before you today, a mentally disturbed man awaits court proceedings in Detroit based on threats he made to use his arsenal of firearms to murder me.
And former Republican candidate for governor Ryan Kelly pled guilty to a misdemeanor charge for his involvement in the January 6th riots at the U.S. Capitol.
To put this all in perspective, these are misdemeanor charges for basically trespassing.
He was sentenced to 60 days behind bars. Alleged 16 fake electors from Michigan had their time in court as well, all 16 pleading not guilty on their individual indictments.
If the election were to be overturned in Michigan, they wanted a record that the electors would vote for the president and the vice president, Trump.
And a major change to come next year as longtime U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow announces she won't run for re-election. Democratic Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin and actor Hill Harper say they will run for the U.S. Senate seat. Former Congressman Mike Rogers and Peter Meyer expected to run in the Republican primary. Michigan will play an important role in the upcoming February presidential primary that could set up another rematch between current President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump in 2024. In Lansing, I'm Jordan Burrell, News 10.
The Michigan presidential primary is set to happen earlier this year, taking place on the 27th of February instead of the mid-March date we're used to. State leaders say it's to drive more attention to the battleground state. And it's been a productive year for Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist. Support from the Democratic legislature has helped them accomplish a lot of their goals.
Now, they say that included putting money back in people's pockets, adding jobs, supporting schools, and allowing people their reproductive freedoms. News 10's Ann Emmerich sat down with our state's top 2 leaders who say one of their proudest accomplishments is getting new gun laws on the books shortly after the deadly mass shooting at Michigan State University.
It was almost a year ago that we saw what
played out on Michigan State's campus. And we worked with the legislature to come together and just around secure storage and background checks and red flag laws. And that amongst all of these other issues that you've highlighted, I think are some of our proudest accomplishments.
You got that gun legislation signed in 2 months. It happened fast. Would these have stopped the shooter at Michigan State?
We'll never know for certain. But I will say, after the Oxford shooting, there's a lot of conversation in Lansing. The survivors and families were calling on the legislature to do something. And, the former Republican-led legislature wouldn't even hold a hearing. Democrats in control for the first time in 40 years moved swiftly to make sure we've got laws on the books that really are common sense that other states have.
I'm proud that we were able to work with community members, work with families, work with survivors, and work with this legislature to get some important things done and show that we care about life here in the state of Michigan. We want no one to die a preventable gun death.
Off of the Michigan State thing, I want to talk about the Board of Trustees because there's been a lot of drama this year, and you even commented on it at one point when one of the board members was accusing the chair of misconduct, and an investigation supposedly is finished. We don't know the results. Are you in the loop on any of this?
Well, I'm monitoring it very closely, and I don't know what that investigation concluded. I'm like you and everyone else, very eager to learn. I know that there are 2 other investigations that are being undertaken right now as well, and I think that that's very important. The question about accreditation, the question about whether or not a victim's name was leaked, all of these things I think are very important for us to have the facts.
So if there is misconduct, corruptness, you will take action.
It would be unprecedented, but I'm not afraid to make hard decisions. I'm not going to be bullied by anybody, but I want to know what the facts are. And so I'm just got to wait and see what happens with these investigations.
Some of the dinner table conversations that I've had with people about the Board of Trustees is, should they be elected? Should they be appointed by the governor? Do you guys have an opinion on that?
I do. I don't know if the lieutenant governor does, but I do. I don't think that they should be elected. I don't think that the system works particularly well. I think that when a party makes a determination of who the candidates are, they generally go with whatever happens at the top of the ticket.
I know we've seen the legislature is going to be looking at this issue, we believe, in the future, and it's a welcome conversation. Our university leadership should not be a political decision. It's a decision about education, about how do we create the strongest possible institutions. And in order to be strong, you have to be stable.
Let's talk about the auto industry. Layoffs in Orion Township, a slower demand for EVs, the battery plant in Marshall that Ford was building has been scaled back. Is this what a lot of people think, is that it's a result of the UAW strike?
I don't know that you can necessarily say that one caused the other. We know that EV adoption, we were hoping that it would go faster. The good news is more people are adopting EVs at a quicker pace than any other vehicle offering that's out there.
To me, that is an indication that we are skating where the puck is going rather than waiting for it to get there.
Let's talk about Michigan. Ag is big here and manufacturing is big here. And we've had a couple of recent stories that we've done with Eagle Township. There was a mega site there and people don't want it in their backyard. You want to lure more manufacturing, right? You're talking about these semiconductor chip plants.
These are really good paying jobs. This is the kind of job you can raise a family on. These are sustainable jobs and jobs in clean energy, which pay well and are long-term. And so, we know that the Michigan economy is absolutely the most important thing that we can impact in our strategy to lure investment in.
Ann also talked with the governor about the presidential race. She is Michigan's campaign manager for President Joe Biden's re-election campaign. She says she's not putting a lot of faith in his low polling numbers at this point in the race.
When asked if he pulled out of the race, would she run? She said absolutely not. She is committed to her job here in Michigan. Before we head to break, we're taking a look back at our top web stories of 2023. Governor Gretchen Whitmer signed an insurance company bill package. Michigan gets its first rail biking business. And a mid-Michigan teen bagged a 16-point buck on opening day of firearm deer season. To check out these stories, download the WILX mobile app or go to WILX.com. And when we come back, a review of the hectic weather season that struck mid-Michigan in 2023, including an EF2 tornado.
And a look back at high school, college, and professional sports, including a new man in charge of the MSU football program. We'll be right back. What's coming to what was. Right now, we are in the Weather Center. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Darren Rockwell takes a look back on mid-Michigan's weather this year.
It was active into late summer, but the severe weather started in February when an ice storm left 700,000 homes and businesses in the dark.
The storm brought considerable tree damage to Jackson and Hillsdale counties. Later in February, a second ice storm caused power outages in central and northern Michigan. Spring and summer brought many days with smoky skies. Multiple times, smoke from wildfires in Canada caused unhealthy air conditions from the Great Lakes to the east coast of the nation. April, May, and June had a string of hot and dry days. Mid-Michigan set new record highs in mid-April as temperatures climbed into the 80s. The dry and hot weather caused concern with crop development early in the growing season. Our drought was brought to an end in July with over 6 inches of rain.
It looks like 50,000 golf balls landed on this green at one time.
In mid-June, thunderstorms pelted Livingston County with golf ball-sized hail.
I've never seen anything like it in 26 years, man. It was quite crazy, actually.
August 11th, an EF1 tornado brought 95-mile-per-hour winds to Perry in Shiawassee County. The tornado was on the ground for 12 minutes and caused considerable tree damage to the town. Less than 2 weeks later, a severe weather outbreak stretched from Grand Rapids to Metro Detroit. Wind damage was reported across the state. The hardest hit area was eastern Ingham County, where an EF2 tornado touched down in the Williamston and Weberville areas. The August 24th tornado packed winds of 125 miles per hour. The storm tossed 17 semis on I-96, closing the highway for days. Many homes and farms were damaged, including the historic Dietz Farm.
It's tough to look at. It's something we've always been very proud of, right? Taking care of the property and just having that heritage. A lot of years. And it's not going to look the same.
2 deaths happened in the August 24th severe weather. Hundreds of thousands of people lost power across the state.
That EF2 tornado that touched down in eastern Ingham County was the first EF2 tornado to touch down in Michigan in 15 years.
2023 was an eventful one for sports here in the Mitten State. A year full of controversy as well.
But it was also filled with triumph and history. News 10 Sports' Fred Heumann explains everything from the pros to high school athletics.
2 notable memories from 2023 in high school basketball, starting with the legendary girls coach at Portland St. Pat's, Al Schrauben, earning his 700th career victory with a win in January over Charlotte.
It means I've been around a long time and really had great players.
A little more than 2 months later, the Lansing Catholic girls basketball team achieved a first in school history winning the Division II state championship with a victory over Frankenmuth in the title game at the Breslin Center.
And I'm grateful for this, but I understand that this is truly, a once-in-a-lifetime thing for many people.
In January, stunning news with the Michigan State women's basketball program. Head coach Susie Merchant blacked out at the wheel of her car, causing a single-car accident that put her in the hospital and on a health leave of absence. As it turned out, she would never return to the sidelines and accepted a forced resignation after the season.
I felt good about, what I had done. It was time. I had to put my family and my health first.
In the fall, Michigan State's football season opened with great promise under fourth-year head coach Mel Tucker. But after a 2-0 start, it all quickly came crashing down on Tucker amidst allegations of an inappropriate relationship with Brenda Tracy, who was hired by MSU to speak to athletes about the dangers of sexual harassment. Tucker would be suspended, then eventually fired on September 27th, with the balance of his $95 million contract still in litigation. And in late November, Jonathan Smith arrived in town as the 26th head football coach in MSU history.
We want to be a place of substance on and off the field.
The University of Michigan also had an acting head coach for 6 of its 13 games due to 2 different suspensions of head coach Jim Harbaugh. Amidst all of the controversy, on the field, the Wolverines enjoyed one of their greatest seasons in history. In high school football, Mason enjoyed a historic season as well, a 13-0 run until a November loss in the Division III state championship game to Grand Rapids Forest Hills Central, 27-10. On the same day, Jackson Lumen Christi won a historic 13th state championship, the 11th under legendary coach Herb Brogan, with a 34-30 victory over Menominee in the Division VII title game. The Detroit Lions are enjoying their best season in a half-century, a double-digit victory season that has their long-suffering fans delirious, anticipating the team's first playoff appearance in 7 years. A year to remember in local sports, with many more memories building for 2024 and beyond. Fred Heumann, News 10 Sports.
The Lions clinched their first division title in 30 years on Christmas Eve, sending them to the playoffs for the first time in 7 years.
In 2023, we launch our You're Not Alone campaign. On the other side of the break, David Andrews takes us through the mental health resources.
And a review of the top health stories from 2023, including the end of the COVID-19 national emergency. We'll be right back. In September, News 10 began a year-long series on mental health.
Every month, a new topic focusing on the mental health challenges and the resources available to help those in need. News 10's David Andrews recaps the first 4 months of our series, You're Not Alone.
Mental health challenges impact people of all ages and all walks of life, senior citizens, military veterans, and teenagers. In September, National Suicide Prevention Month, we told you the story of Eli Fleetwood, a 15-year-old from Okemos who took his own life.
I don't think he realized how many people loved him.
Eli's death was devastating to those who knew and loved him, including pediatric doctor Zach Goldstein. He was in the process of adopting Eli when he committed suicide.
For every Eli out there, there's 10 more that haven't been identified.
That's why Dr. Goldstein founded Eli's Project, a nonprofit foundation that brings people together with family-friendly events to get people talking about mental health and suicide, and to connect families with help.
I'm excited for the landscape to change where parents can feel, really supported in, their children's mental health struggles.
In October, our You're Not Alone series focused on the impact of cyberbullying. Michigan State Police say 1 in 5 Michigan high schoolers experience it.
So it's going to start with text messaging, it could be social media, Facebook, Twitter.
Investigators say cyberbullying is on the rise, and the victim might not even know who the cyberbully is.
Our cybercrime unit has ways of finding who this person is.
In November, we turned our attention to the mental well-being of our military veterans and the rising rate of suicide of those who served.
It sickens me to know that we've lost more veterans to suicide than Iraq and Afghanistan deaths combined.
Iraq War veteran Doug Brinker is a 2-time suicide survivor and now a man on a mission to help other vets struggling with mental health issues. Doug is a veteran peer support specialist at Lifeways Services in Jackson, the very same place he came for help more than 20 years ago.
Helping one person every day, at least one person.
H-O-P-E.
H-O-P-E.
Sadness and grief doesn't take a break around the holidays.
And then you hear those words, "I regret to inform you that your husband was killed."
We introduced you to Christine Kunert, who lost her husband Scott 9 years ago after his car was hit by a drunk driver. Embracing her grief is something Christine learned through group therapy at Ellie's Place, where she is now the director. She says it's important to keep the loved one's memory alive, especially during the holidays.
It's so important to say the person's name who died. People want to hear it. They want to hear the stories. Even if you're going to cry, your person's not forgotten.
Holiday sorrow, the anguish of cyberbullying, veterans coping with life after war, and teen suicide. Mental health challenges that showcase why you're not alone. I'm David Andrews reporting.
There are resources across mid-Michigan. If you are stressed or just need someone to talk to, you can find a list of those resources on our website under the You're Not Alone section.
A lot has happened this year in the health world. News 10's Maureen Halliday takes a look back at all the top stories, starting with COVID-19.
2023 might be remembered as the year the COVID-19 pandemic ended. Hospitals across the state dropped their face mask guidelines. Sparrow, McLaren, and Henry Ford no longer require visitors or caregivers to wear a mask around patients unless they have a respiratory illness.
I've been asked, when are we going to lift the mask restriction? If I had $1 for each time, but it really is a momentous day for us here at Sparrow.
But that didn't mean COVID disappeared. Between new COVID-19 variants, rising flu and RSV cases, the U.S. was dealing with a triple-demic. A shakeup in the healthcare industry as the University of Michigan Health merged with Sparrow Health. In April 2024, Sparrow's new name will be University of Michigan Health Sparrow.
Everyone in this building, we love our patients, we love our community, and we're excited to be able to add those resources for them.
McLaren naming its new family medical center after Michigan State University head basketball coach Tom Izzo. It opened for patients in June on the new campus of McLaren Hospital. The facility offers MRIs, CT scans, and other health screenings.
I look at it as, we tell players all the time, great players play great, but elite players make others great. Well, it's the same in a community. Those core values, I think, are going to be really important when you talk about healing others and helping others and being there for others.
And Ingham County Health Officer Linda Vail retired this year. She played a prominent role in helping keep people safe during the pandemic. And as we head toward 2024, she is now taking on the equally important role as full-time grandma.
And the girls will still be in school, so somebody needs to go take care of them for the week. And guess what? I'm going to be available to do that.
Dr. Adenike Shoyinka replaced Vail in her role as county health officer.
When we return, some of the biggest business stories in mid-Michigan, including the United Auto Workers Union strike against the big three automakers.
And in 2023, Michigan State University named the 22nd president in school history. A review of education in Michigan coming up next.
Communities fought back against some controversial construction projects.
We want fair economic and social justice for our members. That's what this is all about.
The United Auto Workers Union grabbed headlines in 2023, striking against all three of Detroit's auto manufacturers at the same time. The stand-up strike strategy targeted different plants and distribution centers across the country for Ford, Stellantis, and locally General Motors.
We've been ready. We're 602. The enthusiasm, you can see it here.
The UAW strike officially came to an end in November when workers ratified deals with the automakers that included pay raises and a return of the cost of living adjustment, among other things. Of course, that rise in pay for those striking workers came as inflation remained a hot topic across the country. The good news for consumers is as we head into 2024, inflation has cooled significantly, and the price of gas has gone down with it.
This structure is a product of great teamwork.
In Delta Township, the new Ultium Cells battery plant is getting closer to opening. The plant celebrated a construction milestone in February as the last steel beam was put into place. Between General Motors and LG Energy Solutions, the $2.6 billion investment is expected to bring about 1,700 jobs to the area. Construction is expected to wrap up late in 2024. Meanwhile, in Marshall, some residents in the area oppose construction of a Ford battery plant taking over farmland.
It's the destruction of perfectly good farmland, which was already producing agricultural crops.
After the UAW strike briefly paused construction at the plant, Ford slashed its investment by 40%.
I'm not looking at it as being 800 less jobs. I'm looking at it being 1,700 jobs more than what we have right now.
And the fight over a proposed mega site in Eagle Township grabbed headlines all year long. Residents, upset over what they described as a lack of transparency, recalled Township Supervisor Patty Schaefer in the November general election.
There's been a lack of transparency around the mega site since the start.
Newly elected Supervisor Troy Stroud says he will attempt to stop the mega site by moving zoning from the county to the township. State officials approved moving forward on a $500 million plan that would encase the Line 5 tunnel that runs through the Straits of Mackinac. Proponents say it's the best way to prevent a spill into the Great Lakes. Opponents want the pipeline shut down. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers still needs to approve the plan. According to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, in the first quarter of 2023, Michigan accounted for 2.4% of the U.S. economy, the 14th highest of any U.S. state.
Last year, we saw a lot of stories from our local schools and universities. Educational programs opened, expanded, and changed.
News 10's Justin Kent shares 5 of our top stories that happened in education last year.
A new name for a mid-Michigan school. Back in May, the Olivet College changed their name to the University of Olivet.
Next year, hopefully gain higher levels in what is now the University of Olivet, and to see where the future will bring us.
School leaders say the name change reinforces their goals of increasing undergraduate, master's degrees, and online programs. In April, the Lansing School District opened enrollment for a new kind of high school. The Lansing Technical High School will focus on career learning and trade skills.
We have kids who want to get moving, who want to build their career, who want to start out and come out of high school ready to enter the labor market.
Michigan State University started a search for a new president after Samuel Stanley stepped down from that role in 2022. After interim president Teresa Woodruff said she did not want the position, Kevin Guskiewicz became the school's 22nd president.
I guarantee you and promise you that we will work with the community with the highest level of integrity, honesty.
In March, Lansing Community College had a massive data breach that led to a lawsuit claiming personal information for over 700,000 students was leaked.
It's kind of scary. I mean, obviously nobody wants their personal information put out like that.
In October, Michigan State University announced a new program called the Spartan Tuition Advantage. The program looks to provide a full cost of tuition for Pell Grant-eligible Michigan high school graduates whose family income is $65,000 or less.
I feel like it would be good if I had free tuition because I don't come from like a background with a lot of money.
Local schools learning for today for a brighter future. Justin Kent, News 10.
This year, News 10 also aired our Schools Rules series. To watch any of those stories from 2023, you can head over to our website, WILX.com. When we return, we are down to our final 3 stories.
A review of Studio 10, our Make an Impact efforts from throughout 2023, and all the feel-good stories 2023 had to offer. Don't go anywhere.
Lifestyle show, Studio 10, in January.
This community-centered show created an outlet to highlight local businesses, people, and nonprofits. Studio 10's Nicole Buckman takes us through this year and how Mid-Michigan was celebrated.
Studio 10 is all about local, fun, and always on a mission to celebrate Mid-Michigan.
It's 517 Day.
As we relaunched with Studio 10 in January, we started 2023 off with a bang.
It feels so good to say that again. Welcome into Studio 10. We're back.
Throughout the year, we've been able to feature the 517's best businesses and food.
Take those hips and do this with it.
And then hold your glass, see how it's swirled?
Our olive burger is not your traditional olive burger. We do not do the mayonnaise sauce. We want to highlight the olives.
And even talked to the food eating champ himself.
We know that you don't get sick eating on camera, but do you ever get sick of winning?
Oh, sick of winning?
Yeah.
Oh my God, no, I have the best job in the world.
Mid-Michigan is full of talent. And that talent has joined us on our Studio 10 stage, like the voices Lavender
I'm talking to myself in my sleep at night.
and season 23's runner-up Grace West. But Studio 10 didn't just stay in studio. We were able to cover some of the year's hottest events and hot spots.
This is Glenda's bubble dress. You ready?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh.
1,
Yeah. 1,
2,
2,
3.
I think I'm gonna keep this outfit forever.
In August, we took the whole show on the road, going completely live from the Ingham County Fair.
So excited to be here to give you that full fair experience.
We took time this year to shine the spotlight on nonprofits and people making a change in our community.
Try to educate people who haven't been impacted by it as well, just to kind of help, again, those people that are in this realm.
The year also gave us time to celebrate the biggest holidays.
Happy Halloween!
And even the smaller day-to-day ones.
Today is National Video Game Day.
But at the heart of each show are the viewers. It's been fun to include you in questions.
Do you think it's wrong to re-gift a Christmas gift? Jan says that it is the best to donate to a charity.
And even giveaways.
The winner is Caroline Harden from Hazlitt.
We hope that Studio 10 has brought you fun, joy, and a smile on your face. Thank you. You and 2023 get a 10 out of 10. In Lansing, Nicole Buckman, Studio 10.
Thanks, Nicole. Well, you can catch Nicole Buckman, Rochelle LeGrand, and Claudia Sell on Studio 10 weekdays at 3 p.m.
As always, they're excited to bring you on more adventures into the new year.
As the end of the year approaches, we want to thank you, our viewers, for supporting News 10's Make an Impact fundraisers. Your generosity is helping fight poverty, improving literacy, even helping to save lives. A year of giving, a year of helping our communities. Through News 10's Make an Impact fundraisers in 2023, we helped meet critical needs here in Mid-Michigan. More than $100,000 raised in monetary donations, and boxes of items given away. In February, News 10 collected books for communities and schools, World Literacy Day, encouraging young readers to learn a love for reading at an early age.
So whatever will get kids to graduate is our goal, so whatever supports they need, we will provide.
Uniting our community in a time of tragedy, our Spartan Strong fundraiser helped raise money for response efforts in the wake of February's mass shooting on Michigan State's campus.
How can we help? What can we do? How can we express how our feelings are?
Making sure babies get a good start. The Mid-Michigan Diaper Bank provides diapers and other personal care items free of charge to families in need. Your generosity helped us keep their shelves stocked.
You're directly changing people's lives.
In May, News 10 introduced you to our Miracle Kids who benefited from the life-saving care at Sparrow Children's Center.
It was exciting. I mean, they're the people that literally saved my life.
The Capital Area Community Head Start and Small Talk Children's Advocacy programs, both making sure local families are supported while battling the causes of poverty and healing from abuse.
You do matter, and we're here to make sure that you feel that way as well.
And in October, we brought you the story of former MSU basketball coach Mike Garland, who survived cardiac arrest thanks to 2 Good Samaritans. His experience, now the inspiration behind Champions of the Heart, helping people learn life-saving CPR skills.
Just to see everything kind of come to fruition, it just moves my heart and gives me joy.
In November, News 10 viewers literally and figuratively stepped up, donating footwear for Footprints of Michigan's Boots on the Playground fundraiser.
That's what we're there to help provide those in need.
As we wrap up the year, we thank you for helping us make an impact during our High Five Turkey Drive, delivering 172 turkeys to a local bank to feed Mid-Michigan families for Thanksgiving, and donating thousands of new, unwrapped toys for the Salvation Army's Toys for Tots toy drive.
Put them in a box that we can stack them
year?
Absolutely. I'll go put them together.
Never underestimate the value and the impact of a gift given and a gift received.
It's been our biggest year yet, making an impact and making Mid-Michigan a great place to call our home. In Lansing, Taylor Gattoni, News 10.
To all of our News 10 viewers, thank you as always for helping us make a positive difference in our community throughout 2023. And the year did have its fair share of challenges, but there's also been good times and a ton of moments to look back on fondly.
Yeah, before we say goodbye to 2023, News 10's Amaya Kuznicki takes us for a trip down memory lane, presenting this year's feel-good stories.
It was an out-of-this-world start to 2023 as seeds from Michigan State University returned to Earth from space. Michigan State University is part of a NASA space project to one day colonize the moon.
Contributing to make something feasible like growing plants on the moon, it continues really to drive me to work.
The researchers plan to release their findings sometime soon. Those are the cheers from the streets of Grass Lake as the town's country music star Braden Lape made his return from Los Angeles after competing on NBC's The Voice. The 16-year-old finished in 5th place. That car you just heard was built by Okemos High School students, but it doesn't run on gas. Instead, it's powered by something else, the sun. Students competed in the Solar Car Challenge in Texas, taking the car for a 1,000-mile ride.
It's a lot of perseverance and dedication. You know, designing things takes a lot of time.
Time spent researching and brainstorming to make the best car possible. The train that was featured in the Polar Express is once again hitting the silver screen in a new movie called Christmas on the North Pole Express.
To me, the 1225 is almost like what Rudolph is to Santa's reindeer, right? So, you know, quite possibly one of the most famous steam engines of all time.
Good shot, Bill.
It was a hole-in-one for a local World War II veteran. William Aldridge turned 98 years old in November, and his friends, who he golfs with almost every day, surprised him with a free year of golf starting in 2024.
Well, it's just all I do. I just like to golf.
William feels young at heart and is looking forward to his year of free play. In May, drivers on I-75 got quite the show when a cow ran down the freeway with a cowboy not too far behind.
Just been everywhere. Everybody's like, you're the new I-75 cowboy, you're new Yellowstone of Michigan.
Hillsdale County native Ricky Littlejohn gained national attention after his wrangling skills were put to the test to catch a runaway cow. Thankfully, the cow made it home safely with help from the I-75 cowboy.
No poop's too big, no poop's too small. I'm Braden Juray and I'll scoop them all.
Braden Juray isn't your average CEO. This 9-year-old saw a problem for elderly pet owners not being able to pick up their dog's waste. He started his own Scoop-A-Poo business. He is hoping to save enough money to buy a car when he turns 16. Touching on the stories that made you smile this year, I'm Amaya Kuznicki, News 10.
What a year, so many good stories and many more to tell in 2024.
Thank you for joining us for our 2023 Year in Reflection.
We can't wait to see you out and about in the community in 2024. Until then, I'm Taylor Gattoni.
And I'm Seth Wells. Have a great new year, everybody.
Have you ever